Welcome to today's CRM Magazine web event, brought to you by PowerObjects. I'm David Myron, Editorial Director of CRM Magazine, and I'll be the moderator for today's broadcast. Our presentation today is titled, Laying the CRM Foundation for High-Performance Customer Care in 2016. Before we start, allow me to explain how you can participate in this live broadcast. At the end of the event, there will be a question and answer session. If you have a question during the presentation, just type it into the question box provided and click on the Submit button. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible, but if your question has not been answered during the show, you'll receive an email response to it within a few days. Plus, if you'd like a copy of the presentation, you can download a PDF from the resource icon at the bottom of the console once the event is archived. Now I'll introduce our speakers for today's event. Greg Moser is the Practice Director of Customer Care at PowerObjects. Kate Leggett is the Vice President and Principal Analyst of Customer Service SME at Forrester Research. And Gretchen Opferque is the Director of Education, a Microsoft CRM MVP at PowerObjects. To review the speakers' bios, please click on the arrow under the speakers' photos. So now, let me pass the event over to our first presenter, Greg Moser, Practice Director of Customer Care at PowerObjects. Welcome to the broadcast, Greg.
Thank you very much, David, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Real quick, before we jump in, as we continue to see this industry transform and the kind of evolution of this industry, we're very excited today to have Kate Leggett as a speaker. You know, Kate is a thought leader in the customer service industry and a subject matter expert. And she'll be talking about the trends and her point of view around customer service and how to mitigate the deployment approach. So we're very excited to have Kate on board speaking at the event, along with Gretchen Opferque, who runs our practice of education over at PowerObjects. So she is heavily involved in the Microsoft Dynamics CRM community and MVP, and again has a focus on education, which obviously correlates to ways that we can onboard our agents and reduce the amount of time it takes to get through calls in an effective manner. So with that said, I'm going to quickly discuss who PowerObjects is, and then we're going to take a quick poll and then turn over to Kate and get started. For those of you that aren't aware of PowerObjects, we've been in business since 1993. We've won the Microsoft Dynamics CRM Partner of the Year award multiple times. 2015, we were the Cloud Partner of the Year, and 2013 and 2012, we were the overall CRM Partner of the Year. We really focus on four key pillars from a business perspective. You know, service, following a PPA, PPT model, people, process, and technology, finding that balanced approach and delivering sales, marketing, and customer service workloads in the CRM industry, along with integrations and things of that nature. In addition, we have the second largest support desk behind Microsoft, specifically focused on supporting the Microsoft technologies, not only the Microsoft CRM stack, but Parature and other solutions like Field One and Field Service as well. And then Gretchen leads our education team, so she is focused on core change management principles and user adoption principles, which we'll discuss today. And again, we have a service built around the chain management and education of CRM, not only from a product perspective, but also from a process perspective as well. And then lastly, we have add-ons. We have solutions that we develop and we build that we kind of put in the Microsoft stack that allows certain components like phone integration, for example, or if you want to generate a CSAT survey. Again, we have over 160,000 users that leverage these add-ons worldwide. And then again, we are owned by HCL. They're our parent company, so about a $7 billion company with over 110,000 employees worldwide. So we think with the four pillars, we can definitely help mitigate your risk when looking to deploy these types of solutions. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to David, and then we have a quick poll, and then we're going to jump into Kate's content. So again, thanks everyone for joining us today.
All right, thank you for that. You should see the poll popping up on your screen now, which reads, when was the last time you transformed your CRM call center solution? Please select one of the following. Do not have CRM, 1 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, 10 to 15 years, or more than 15 years. And while you select your answer, let's go ahead and look at some of the viewers that are listening in to the live presentation. We have attendees from AT&T, the NFL Player Benefits, the Boy Scouts of America, First Hawaiian Bank, and Bank of the West, just to name a few. So with that, it looks like the poll results are in, and in response to when was the last time you transformed your CRM call center solution, it looks like the number one answer is 1 to 3 years, coming in at 41% of our viewers stating that. And then 23%, surprisingly, said do not have a CRM. And then third place is 3 to 5 years ago at 1/5 of the respondents, 20.5%. So pretty interesting smattering of results there. With that, I'd like to now pass the event over to our featured presenter, Kate Leggett, who is the Vice President and Principal Analyst of Customer Service SME at Forrester Research. Welcome to the broadcast, Kate.
Hey, thanks, David, and thanks to everybody on this webinar who have taken an hour out of your busy days to listen to Gretchen, David, Greg, and I speak. It's comforting to know that so many of you have transformed their CRM and customer service technologies quite recently within the last 5 years, because it plays into our message at Forrester about the importance and the power of the modern customer. I want to take a couple minutes to explain what I mean there. So you think back 5 years ago, 10 years ago, a decade ago, companies really controlled all the information about what you were selling. For example, its price, its location, feature and functions, how it was used to deliver business value. That meant a decade ago and prior to that, institutions had all the power in a relationship. So what happened a decade ago was social media came on the stage and ushered in what Forrester called the age of the customer. And today there is such transparency and authenticity about the information relevant to a company, to its products and services. You think about specifications, case studies, how a service is, for example, rated and reviewed, and what it means that now customers sit in the driver's seat. And they control the conversation that they're having with companies that they're doing business with. And because of this, companies have to be a lot more obsessed with delivering experiences in line with customer expectations to be able to garner their satisfaction and their long-term loyalty to the brand. And this isn't only true in the B2C world, but we're seeing it increasingly true in the B2B world. And why do we care about delivering experiences in line with customer expectations? It's because we know that good customer experiences have a direct impact on top-line revenues for companies. A customer who has had a good experience, who's satisfied with the experience, correlates to a loyal customer. And a loyal customer is one who's going to keep their business with the company, who's going to look to the company for another purchase, for example, a cross-sell or an upsell or a whole new other product. And the loyal customer is also one who will serve as an advocate for the company and influence future new sales. So what we know is that good customer experiences are good for a business, and it has a quantitative impact on your top-line revenues. And at Forrester, we have lots of models to show that. And where does customer service fit into this discussion is that for many companies, customer service is a cornerstone of their company's customer experience strategy. But we also know that it's really difficult to provide experiences in line with customer expectations because the customer service organization has to walk this tightrope balancing act between the needs of the customer and the needs of their business. And what we find is there's many impediments in the way of being able to deliver good customer experiences. And The first impediment is that many customer service organizations are crippled with the mess of siloed applications that their organizations use to support their customers. And agents sometimes need to use dozens of disconnected applications during the course of their workday, and they hunt and peck through all these disconnected applications looking for answers to their questions. They're not following the same processes. They're not always giving customers the same answer. And what our data shows is that only 5% of companies are able to provide consistent cross-channel experiences. So the same experience over chat compared to over the phone, or over a web interaction. And more importantly, only 3% are able to provide a seamless handoff between channels. For example, starting a self-service interaction on the web and then seamlessly escalating it to chat without having to restart the conversation. The other problem that we see is that the knowledge or content that customer service agents use can be located just about everywhere in a company. And this is what this heat map on the in this PowerPoint is showing. It's showing that customer service agents have to go into emails or meeting invitations or competitor battle cards or content management systems to find information to answer their questions. This content isn't consistently available to agents in a format that they can easily act on it. And it's because many companies haven't invested in knowledge management solutions to be able to add order and easy access to this content. And the third impediment that we see is that companies still haven't transformed their measures of success. They're still focused on handle times and speed of answers, these efficiency and productivity metrics, instead of framing their measurement program in terms of customer delight, customer satisfaction, NPS, which translate into customer retention and ultimately increased company revenue and company profitability. So what happens if you're not able to deliver good service? First of all, it's going to cost you. For example, if customers can't find their answers online, they're going to end up recontacting you. They'll pick up the phone, they'll email you, they'll chat with you. And for customer service interactions, this is 3/4 of the folks who will recontact you. And these recontacts incur costs, which can ultimately run into the millions of dollars. And then the other issue is when customers don't get the service they expect, is they'll talk about it. And in our world of social media, this dissatisfaction ends up getting amplified, which can erode the brand. So we have to step back and ask, what do customers expect of a customer service interaction? They expect easy interactions. They expect effective interactions, being able to get their full question answered at the first point of contact. And they expect personal, contextual interactions that are able to form an emotional bond between customers and the company. And in the next couple of slides, I'm quickly going to go through these points. So first of all, in terms of what do I mean by customers expect easy interactions? Customers don't expect these Disney-esque experiences for service. They don't want to be delighted by service. When they have an issue, they want it resolved easily, quickly, with as little friction as possible. And our data backs this up. 53% of customers will abandon their online purchase if they can't find the answer that they're looking for quickly. Almost 3/4 of you, 73%, say that valuing their time is the most important thing a company can do to provide good service. What we also see is more and more customers are increasingly relying on self-service instead of picking up the phone and calling a service rep as a first point of contact. And this year, for the second year running, web self-service and mobile self-service overtook all other channels in the frequency of use. But if you add up all self-service channels, for example, voice self-service, communities, virtual agents, you will find that the number of self-service interactions far exceeds phone interactions. And this is because self-service interactions offer a very easy It's an effortless way to be able to get answers to your questions. In terms, in addition to customers using digital, low-friction digital channels, self-service channels, what we also see is that customers often take a set of steps with a company, like which we call a customer journey, which can cross touch points and channels. And we find that these channels and touch points are often managed by different functional organizations within a company. But customers don't care about how you're organized internally. What you need to do is look at the end-to-end customer journey as it crosses organizational boundaries, as it crosses possibly channels and touch points, and you need to be able to support your customers through their end-to-end journey. What we also see, and it's something that I talked about a couple minutes ago, is that customer service agents typically use dozens of systems that are either completely disconnected from one another or hardwired together to provide service experiences. And the picture that you're looking at is actually the IT infrastructure of a leading telco in the United States, where agents have to use up to 40 different applications during the course of their workday. And what this means is that, again, most customer service technology ecosystems are a mess of disconnected silos. And as you look to modernize your solutions, you want to be able to move away from buying these disconnected point solutions, for example, for channels like chat or co-browse. And you want to look at simplifying and modernizing your technology ecosystem by trying to purchase either single vendor solutions for your agent desktop, for queuing and routing, for workforce management, or look at integrating in an agile way the systems that you have. And this will allow your agents to deliver service interactions that are more consistent, are faster, and are able to provide that easy and that effective interactions that your customers are looking for. And to build on this concept, what you even want to do is you want to think about hand-holding your agents through the end-to-end processes that they follow, which can end up bridging organizational silos. For example, instead of letting your agents hunt and peck through these disconnected systems, you may want to, again, look at process guidance solutions or these technology solutions to overlay your existing infrastructure that, again, handhold agents through a process, pushing to the agent the right information, the right knowledge, the right data at every step of the process. And this allows your agents, if they're being guided, it allows your agents to focus on the conversation that they're having with customers instead of struggling with their technology. So your customers also expect deeply personal contextual experiences. And these experiences are based on the customer's profile, their tier of service, their historical interactions that they've had with you, the products that they've bought, the details of their current situation. And you want to use all this information to be able to optimize the current interaction and as well try to predict future needs. And what we find is that there's many customer service organizations that are using a combination of rules and increasingly more analytics to be able to prescribe the right set of steps for customers or agents to more effectively get their issues resolved or their question answered. So we see this prescriptive advice, again, it's rules or analytics driven, to be able to understand customers, their behavior, the right cross-sell and upsell for their particular situation, trying to route the work to the right, or the call or contact to the right agent or within the company who can optimally answer that question, to guide the service experience, and even connect the profile based on the customer's profile of the customer to the right specific agent within the company. And these types of interactions that are analytics-driven, again, help contextualize, help personalize interactions, and it also helps create this emotional connection between customers and companies. Again, with the aim of keeping your customers satisfied and loyal to your brand. So these are some of the top trends that we're seeing that customer service organizations are looking at adopting. But the question that we often get is, how do I get here? We know what the vision or the future of customer service needs to be, but we have an aging infrastructure, or we've just modernized our infrastructure, our technologies in the last 5 years. What else can we do to do better, to help differentiate our service offerings from our competitors? And where we always say you have to start is by getting your customer service strategy right, your short-term, long-term strategy. And this starts with deeply understanding what your customers' expectations for service are. And there are some overarching principles that I've talked about, but the understanding your customers' expectations will also be dependent on the type of industry that you're in. For example, what channels are your customers using? What touch points are your customers using? And this will be dependent based on their demographics of your customer base. What is the end-to-end journey that they're taking with you? Is it a quick in and out journey, or is it a long and involved process? And then you also want to keep tabs on the trends in customer service, short-term trends, long-term trends. And you need to keep tabs on these trends to understand what trends you want to pursue, you want to actualize to move the needle on your customer service operations. Next, what you want to do is really assess your current operations. And to be able to do this, you need to understand the depth and breadth of customer service technologies. And you walk into a contact center, and there's a huge amount of technologies that are being used to manage operations. For example, queuing and routing technologies to get inquiries of all media types to the right agent. Agent desktop customer service solutions, workforce management solutions to manage your agent staffing for optimal productivity. And each of these large technology categories can be deconstructed into many different independent technologies that sometimes are part of a core customer service CRM solution, and sometimes are offered as silo technologies. And what you need to do is understand the business value and maturity of these different technologies, so you can invest in technologies that are on the leading edge of the maturity curve. And what you're looking at here is something that Forrester calls a tech radar that shows the maturity on the x-axis, on the horizontal axis, and the business value that these different technologies deliver. And you should have a look at this and understand what technologies we think are up and coming and what ones you may want to do a deeper dive in. What you also then want to do is understand how well you're doing against best practices. And you can use benchmarking models. There's many that abound. At Forrester, we have one. It's a very popular framework where we've codified 170 best practices in 4 dimensions of strategy, process, technology, and organization. And you can use our model, or PowerObjects, and other companies also have these benchmarking models to assess your current capabilities against best practices. And this analysis, when you do it, helps you understand your current strengths and potential areas for opportunities, and it will give you a high-level prioritized list of investments. Next, you want to you've now pinpointed your quick wins, and you have to create a business case and a roadmap to be able to clearly articulate the cost of the initiative and the benefit of your initiative. And in terms of costs, you want to look at software costs, deployment costs, integration costs, labor, training costs. In terms of benefits, you want to be very precise at articulating the business benefit, not only in terms of reduced operational costs, but also improved agent productivity, improved customer satisfaction, that again translates into decreased customer churn, and increased revenue. You want in your business case to document the flexibility, not only the immediate benefit that you will achieve in making a particular customer service technology investment, but also future benefits that you could capture at a later time. For example, if you're choosing a solution that you could deploy across different languages and geographies at a later date, starting off with an English-only deployment will give you imminent benefit, but in terms of flexibility, it will allow you to deploy the same solution in different geographic areas. And then in your business case, you also want to outline the risks, the possibility of negative outcomes, as well as the risk of not pursuing these initiatives. Once you have your business case defined, you want to put your strategic plan and roadmap in place. And why do you want to do this? Because it helps articulate your strategic vision for your initiative, and it keeps your entire project team pointed in the same direction. And at Forrester, we have this 8-step plan that outlines the target state and how to get there. And it's a plan that focuses not only on technology, but on the people and process issues that hamper this effort. When you get to the roadmap stages, the roadmap is more tactical. It's a plan that outlines your short-term, your long-term customer service goals with specific technology solutions that you want to adopt to help meet those goals. And it helps break down a big initiative into a set of projects which you can tackle sequentially. Helps you organize your work, and it as well helps you prescribe actionable projects and plan details, and it tells you exactly what needs to be done to achieve your business outcome. And it also helps articulate standard program management tasks that you need to do to be able to make sure that your initiatives are successful. And it also includes a communication plan to make sure that all the stakeholders and everybody involved in a project stays abreast with the status, development issues, and changes of plan. So once you have your roadmap, your plan and roadmap in place, you also want to take a step back and think about project governance. Because as you move away from these isolated projects to more of a transformational project that may span departments and may require an alignment of technologies and data management strategies, you really need to invest in project governance. And this really clarifies the roles, responsibilities, escalation pathways, and measures of success that are required for a customer service program to succeed. And what it entails is putting together a governance board that helps with not only process governance, data governance, but as well technology governance across not only an organization, but across a company. And then what you want to do again is at this point, you're looking at selecting a vendor. Many companies end up using RFI and RFPs to evaluate vendors. This is important because it allows you to make a list of all the attributes and capabilities that you need in a vendor solution. But what's more important is to be able to define the end-to-end processes that you want a vendor solution to support, and make sure that you rely on and ask vendors that you are evaluating to demo these scenarios to you and invest as well in proof of concepts. And then when you roll out solutions, again, don't do it in a big bang approach. You want to take your project, divide it up into bite-sized pieces, incrementally roll out functionality, and with every stage you want to quickly, again, design, deploy capabilities, and measure your success. Declare success, broadcast success, and then move on to the next phase of deployment. And my last slide is, don't forget about your agents. Involve them in all steps of the process. Let them know there's a change going on. Give them information to help them buy into the change. Let agents know that the change will impact them positively. Involve them in the software selection process. Get them to sit in on your demos. Involve them in testing and rollout. And then when your solution is rolled out, get feedback from them. And then make sure that that feedback gets wrapped into future releases. And then why do you care about optimizing your customer service operations? It's because, again, customer service is a cornerstone to a company's experience strategy. And better customer experiences ensure that your customers do not churn. Your customers have increased lifetime values. They buy more from you over their lifetime, and they serve as advocates, which drive new sales. So net, better customer service experiences can correlate directly to increased top-line company revenues, and that is why we care about not only keeping an eye on the technology trends for customer service, but making sure that you're rolling out your customer service technology investments in an organized way to be able to reap the total value possible out of these investments. So with that, David or Greg, I'm going to hand it back to you.
All right, Kate, this is David. Thank you for that. We do have another poll question coming up, and that question reads, what CRM solution, global case management platform, do you leverage today? Please select one of the following: Microsoft Dynamics CRM, Salesforce.com, Oracle, Pegasystems, or other. And while we're waiting for the poll results, just a reminder that there will be a question and answer session at the end of the broadcast. If you have a question during the presentation, just type it into the question box provided and click on the submit button. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible, but if your question has not been answered during the show, you'll receive an email response to it within a few days. Okay, so it looks like the poll results are in, so why don't we go ahead and show those. And in response to the question, what CRM solution, global case management platform do you leverage today? It looks like a little more than half, 51.4%, said Microsoft Dynamics CRM, so popular among this crowd. And then in second place is other at 27%, third place Salesforce.com at 18.9%. So pretty big disparity there in the numbers. With that, I'd like to now hand it over to Gretchen Upke, who is the Director of Education, also a Microsoft MVP, which, as I understand, is a rare distinction. There are only 60 to 70 of those in the world. Gretchen is a Director of Education at PowerObjects. Welcome to the broadcast, Gretchen.
Thank you very much, David. As everyone here knows, we at PowerObjects are 100% focused on the implementation of Microsoft Dynamics CRM. And over the years, after doing hundreds and hundreds of implementations, we have seen the common denominators of what is successful and what fails. And one of the reasons that many organizations choose Microsoft Dynamics CRM and its integrated solutions for customer care is they're looking for that modern interface, that wow factor that gives their employees the satisfaction of helping customers with a great tool. They're also looking for a platform that, of course, meets their unique business needs and will grow with their organization as it grows. So those are incredibly important to invest in, finding the right technology, the right solution for your organization. But those aren't typically the reasons why an implementation fails, that the technology is is not meeting the objectives. So let's take a look now at what some of the best practices are for implementing CRM and what we do in terms of change management, rollout, and training to help mitigate the risk of this failure. So the first thing I want to emphasize is just exactly what Kate talked about, which is building this business case and starting with strategy. So one of the biggest points of failure that we see with organizations is putting too much emphasis on what the return of investment they're going to get on just the technology alone. So we put in the technology, we put in the integrations or whatever it may be, and then we wait and we measure. Without starting at the top of the process here with looking at what are the measures of success for our organization. What are we actually trying to achieve? Sure, we want to increase revenue and we want to reduce cost, but how are we going to do that? What's our strategy? What is the experience that we're trying to create for our customers? How are we going to build loyalty? How are we going to achieve that? And then how are we actually going to explain to the business what the cost of failure is if we don't achieve these things. So those are the things that Kate really touched on, and I absolutely agree with. If you do not start there with that business plan and that business case, you are already starting out on the wrong foot. The next thing that we look at is really how does that boil down into the actual processes within your organization and the behaviors that we're wanting from employees. So we actually have to get to that point of determining what is the change that we're looking to bring into our organization, not just the change in technology, but the change in process and expectations of the humans that we have, our agents. And we look at both, when we look at change and change management, we look at both the change in the behaviors and the processes as well as the change in technology. And of course, as Kate mentioned, we have to manage that change with a communication plan and ensuring that agents are involved in the process. But the overall perspective that we want to have is that technology supports the process and the strategy. That technology itself does not bring the return on investment that we're looking for. So once you have that perspective, you're much better equipped to evaluate the technology, to determine what is going to be a best fit, and also to evaluate a partner that you may be looking at. So the second area of risk that we see is getting back to what Kate mentioned about organizing your plan here, getting down to making sure that you have a phased approach, that you're not taking on too much at once, and that you're able to get to done. So we see organizations that are bloating their initiatives with so much that they'd like to accomplish, so many people who are involved that they can never really get it off the ground. And so we don't want to fail at that point. We want to actually pull out realistic timelines and build phases that actually have a result focus in each phase. So things that we are trying to do and that we can measure out of each specific thing that we're going to break off. And then overall, as we're scoping, we always have to keep an eye on the simplicity that we want to keep for the agents. We want to balance the results that we are planning to get with the maintaining simplicity and making sure that we're able to have efficiency in the process. So those are things that as we're scoping out a specific phase of a project or an initiative that we want to make sure we're doing to mitigate any risk of failure there. So before you get started, of course, in doing anything, you always want to take a baseline measurement of what you're actually trying to achieve. So if you're trying to increase call time or first-time call resolution, customer satisfaction, maybe you're looking to just increase quality and adoption of a program that you've already rolled out and released. Maybe you're trying to increase ticket deflection. Whatever it might be, of course, you have to start with that baseline measurement in order to determine a return on investment at a later time in order to measure adoption at a later date. So before any initiative, of course, make sure that you have taken those measurements. After that, we want to mitigate another point of failure, which is the one and done big bang approach. We want to make sure that organizations are not thinking just about a project or a phase, but more thinking about the ownership of your processes and your technology long term. So Kate brought this up in the context of project governance, making sure that your process, your data technology is owned. Also, your training and adoption needs to have a long-term ownership. So one of the common mantras that we use is, you know, this is a journey. Every phase that you do is continuous improvement, working towards meeting goals, but no one specific project or initiative is going to be sort of a one and done, let's move on. So in doing that, we want our clients to be using a proven methodology for implementing technology. And that is, of course, spending time evaluating the right partner, the right technical solutions, making sure that you have that in place. But also during that plan for success, building in those measurements of how you plan to measure success, looking at not only how you're going to design the technology and the integrations and things like that, but how you are going to communicate out to the organization, what is the messaging, what is going to be the impact of different processes and technologies on your organization, and what is going to be the training and communication plan that you need to mitigate the impact. So all of those need to go into the plan for success before you build and deploy any technology. And this goes, of course, for an initial rollout of new technology as well as upgrades and minor initiatives as well. So that is why we have to build in that long-term ownership view of CRM, because planting a technology, and using that metaphor of CRM as a garden, planting a technology and process in your organization takes a lot of work. It takes potentially a larger team within your organization and augmenting your team with a partner, consulting services to come in and assist, getting that planned, getting it built, getting it deployed, and of course immediately supporting any needs that arise. But long term, we also need to focus on that gardening, the maintaining of your systems and your processes. And that's where the governance comes in, where the partner comes in and making sure that you find a partner who not only can support you in the planting, but is that long-term partner who can support you in the maintenance and the coming in, and to continue the garden metaphor, coming in and taking a plant out and putting another plant in and rearranging things and weeding and those types of things. So you want to have that long-term ownership built in. Along with that, the big bang approach is something that we want to avoid with training. So when you look at layering in a new process or a new technology into your customer care strategy, you want to make sure that you are not taking a big bang approach with the rollout and training, but that you are actually building a repeatable training path that you can use not only for reinforcing whatever change in process and technology you're bringing, but also for onboarding new agents and continuously keeping up with the process changes and the technology changes that you had rolled out. So what we look in for building a strong training program as we look at making it very skill-based. You're looking at bringing people to efficiency in various job skills as well as various technical skills. In fast-paced environments, you want to, of course, make sure that you're simulating that environment and that you have the training built in such a way that they can do both self-paced training as well as on-the-job training, manager coaching, those types of things. And then, of course, you want to measure the results of your training so that you're able to understand where people need more training, where there needs to be more reinforcement of the process. And then a huge and fun aspect of rolling out technology and processes, of course, giving people what everyone wants. Every employee wants to know, where am I at? Where am I going, and how do I get there? How do I get to that next level? So we actually, in the process of reinforcing any sort of change, rollout in technology or process, want to build in the metrics that help them understand what are the expectations of me, how do I compare to my peers, and how do I get to the next level, whether it be an achievement of new technical skills or whether it be actually job-related targets. So those are very, very important in the reinforcement of any rollout and change. And lastly, the gamification or actual making things fun as part of your customer care environment is so critical to be able to actually provide that employee satisfaction along with meeting your organizational goals. So as we've talked through all of these strategies, one theme that's continuously come up, and that is measurement. Measuring before you get started, measuring the types of things that you are trying to achieve, and then, of course, measuring results. The processes and how those are actually impacting your goal, measuring whether you're achieving your goal. Of course, measuring adoption of the process, whether it be quality that you're looking for or certain types of behaviors. And then, are you achieving the impact that you're wanting with the change that you're bringing? So those are all key strategies and best practices for really laying in a new technology or a new process within your organization. And one of PowerObjects, our frequently asked questions is, what are some of the biggest keys to success? If you could say, what is one thing? Maybe I have the right strategy already. I have the right technology. I have the right ownership and governance in place. I have, done the planning. I've rolled out a great solution. Maybe I even have the best training. What is one key strategy that really makes a difference in terms of failure and success? And that one key thing has to do with managers. It's thinking ahead of time about how you are going to support and engage managers in achieving what you're trying to achieve. Making sure that managers, the frontline managers, have the tools that they need to not only measure their teams, but also to be able to coach and train their teams to get the types of results that you're looking for. So oftentimes we sort of pull managers in with employees, or we may think of the metrics and what managers need to be doing as more of an afterthought of phase 2, but it absolutely has to be in the initial approach and in the initial training, and they have to be targeted with special communications and training. So that is one of the biggest critical success factors, I would say, in the rollout of CRM. So now I'm going to turn it over to David to close us up here.
All right, Gretchen. Great presentation. Thank you for that. You should see a poll popping up on your screen now, and the poll question reads, how would you rate the value you have received from your CRM solution global case management platform, 1 being the least amount of value and 5 being the most amount of value? Please select one of the following, 1, no value, 2, some, 3, neutral, 4, positive value, and 5, high value. And while we're waiting for the results, allow me to take this opportunity to inform you of CRM Magazine's upcoming CRM Evolution Conference from May 23rd to the 25th at the Omni Showroom Hotel in Washington, D.C. Here you can join CRM analysts and consultants, project leaders, and vendors to learn how to take your CRM efforts to the next level. For more information after this webinar or any other time, visit crmevolution.com. Okay, it looks like the poll results are in, so let's go ahead and show those. And in response to the question, how would you rate the value you've received from your CRM solution global case management platform, looks like we have 37.9%, almost 38% saying a positive value. So that's pretty good. The second place is neutral at 31%, and then high value at 17%. So the hope is that we're getting more of our viewers to move over to the high value choice, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. With that, I'd like to now move on to our question and answer session. We have a few minutes left in our broadcast, and I do have a few questions that I'd like to ask our presenters, and I hope to get to a couple of our audience Q&As as well. So the first question I have is for, bear with me one second as my screen is painting. My first question that I have is for Kate. Kate, what are the main reasons why customer service CRM projects fail to meet business objectives, and how should a company mitigate this risk?
I think we should ask our audience for that, considering that, 30% got neutral value out of current projects. But I really think it's not about technology. I mean, technology that is that's available today is so powerful. I think it's about strategy, not having chosen or deployed a system that is able to support your end-to-end processes, and I think it could be measurements and metrics. I think it's training, onboarding. I think it's everything other than technology, not getting your strategy right, not getting your processes right, from onboarding to implementation, onboarding, training, getting value out of your system, and then people. I know, Gretchen, what do you think?
And I think so too. I think one of the nice things about the business case that you mentioned and really looking at the cost of not succeeding is it enables you to get the budget that you need to invest in a particular rollout. So one thing that we commonly see is we see people cutting value from the budget to just get a base system rolled out with little to no value. And we also see people cutting training and change management and communication from the budget as sort of a nice to have, when that is actually a critical success factor to getting results. So what we see with those organizations is they fail and then they choose a different technology six months, a year, 2 years later, and try again. Kind of blaming it on the technology, but it's really, just unable to get the business case and the investment going.
Interesting little discussion here. Another question for you, Kate. Now, you mentioned that it's not always about the technology, but I imagine that there are some areas of innovation and improvements in the customer care space that companies should pay attention to. So with that, what do you see as the upcoming biggest areas for innovation and improvements in the customer care space?
Well, that's a complex answer, because it's what you should do today and then what you should keep your eye on, 10 years out. What you should do today is, your customers want low-friction interactions. They want those easy, efficient interactions. That's all about self-service, low-friction digital channels, taking the pain out of the end-to-end customer journey. That's what you should be doing today. What you should be doing 10 years out, it's about cognitive computing, being able to evolve the content that your customers are using to make it spot on in line with what they need. It's about new engagement channels. And we're already seeing the rise of messaging. It's about embedded service with the Internet of Things coming to the forefront. It's about and preemptive service. It's like, for example, Tesla that pushes software patches over to their cars when the cars are connected for the night. It's about things like that. But it's really important to know what you should be doing in the next couple of years, and that's all about supporting your customers in a digital-first way, and then what you want to be keeping your eye out, a decade out, which is more of a cognitive, prescriptive, preemptive type of service interaction that's fueled by analytics and the Internet of Things.
All right, thanks for that. Gretchen, a question for you. So what should an organization think about with regard to some of the key attributes when they're measuring a partner, looking to measure a partner to help them deploy a customer service CRM project?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think a proven track record in doing these types of initiatives, I think, is critical. The depth of technical abilities is a baseline. And then I think a big thing is something that we're running into very frequently, organizations coming to us and saying, the company that helped us implement won't support us. Will you support us? And it's looking for a partner that's looking at a long-term partnership, not just when the revenue is big from a big project, but also how to support long-term an organization. And I think those are critical things to look at.
All right, thank you for that. It looks like we are approaching the top of the hour now, so I don't believe I'll be able to get all of our questions in, but I'd like to thank everybody who submitted questions, and I'd also like to thank our presenters on today's broadcast, Greg Moser at PowerObjects, Kate Leggett at Forrester Research, and Gretchen Opricue, also at PowerObjects. If you'd like a copy of the presentation, you can download it once the event is archived. And if you'd like to review this event or send it to a colleague, please use the same web address that you used for today's event. It will be archived for 90 days. Plus, as a courtesy, you'll receive an email once the archive is posted. And just for participating in today's event, you can win this Google Chromecast. The winner will be posted on destinationcrm.com on March 31st. Please visit our website to see if you're the winner. And finally, if you stay on the console at the end of the broadcast, you'll automatically be directed to PowerObjects' website for additional white papers, video, and content. This concludes our broadcast. Thank you for joining us.